Update. Am I the a-hole for turning down a Christmas dinner invitation from my mom's family? Original post. So I, 21 female, am currently in university and live on a dorm, using my own money and everything. My mom, 40 female, had me when she was 19. My dad joined the military to provide, and so he was gone most of the time. My parents split up when I was young, and my mom and I moved across the country. My mom started dating again when I was a teenager, and it was like I became invisible. When she married Gregory, 50 male, it became even different. I grew really resentful when my mom had a new baby, and I'll admit that it wasn't healthy and neither was my attitude. When the time for university came, I got a good enough scholarship and moved out. I'm honestly surprised they noticed I was even gone. I've gotten 2 texts from my mom a year, happy birthdays and happy New Year's. Only this year did I get a 3rd text, and that's just to announce I have a new baby sister. So I got an email the other day that was pretty much an invite to a Christmas dinner that they were hosting, and it seems like a lot of extended family are going to be there. I don't want to be there, so I declined the invite. Yesterday I got a phone call from my mom crying about me deciding not to come for the dinner and really wanting to see me. Then Gregory took the phone at all but called me an a-hole while scolding me. It's made me feel a little bad because she's still my mom, and I feel like I should just go for her sake. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. Not stay home. They weren't there for you when you needed them. That's literally a parent's job. Yep, not stay home. She's crying and he's mad because your absence at Christmas will raise a ton of questions about their parenting, or lack thereof, that they aren't comfortable answering because it'll make them look bad. I doubt it. The entire extended family knows, and they aren't hiding that I'm not part of the family according to my grandmother. And she's shown me Facebook photos where they've had captions like complete family to other stuff. And while my grandmother said she'd like me to reconcile, she thinks it's better for me if I don't. As much as I dislike Gregory, I do know him well enough to know that he does love my mom and hates seeing her cry. As for mom, I'm sure she wants to see me for me, or because she feels bad, but that doesn't mean she deserves it. She didn't even invite me with a phone call or text, just an impersonal invite. I really do feel terrible for making her cry though, and do wish I hadn't done that. You didn't make her cry. She cried out of her own feelings of guilt, sadness, or whatever. You're not responsible for her feelings. Only text from your mom each year? No phone calls until now? Not stay home. You do what suits you. They've treated you like an acquaintance since she started dating and eventually married. It would be only normal for you to not wish to attend. Why waste a holiday with people who treat you that way? Your mother's husband's insults prove how he's felt all along. All the best to you. Not stay home. It is telling that you say the invitation is from my mom's family, rather than my mom or my family. Her actions made it so you don't consider yourself part of her family anymore. If your mother wants to reconnect, she needs to do the work of fixing her neglect of you when you were still a minor. And that takes more than an invitation to a family party, where they probably just want you there to play a happy family and make them look good. Having said that, think about the damage control. You say the extended family will be there. Is there anyone where you do care about them or what they think about you? What will your mother and stepfather say about you to everyone if you aren't there? Not being there lets them control what is being said about you. Is this something you can live with? If, say, you like your grandparents and they will be there, having lunch with them the week before and talking to them, letting them know what happened to you, will let you control the narrative. My grandma will be there and she knows everything. She's the only one who I visit and even care about. She's shown me the Christmas cards and Facebook photos they've posted, and it's all in such a way that it's like that's been the only family my mom's ever had, and like it haven't existed. The relatives that'll be there are always commenting positive crap to them too. And now for the first update. So my mom's Christmas party went and passed this past Friday, and I figured I'd make this post as an update. Like I thought, my mom phoned me back because my grandma made her. She asked to meet me in person, but I said I didn't feel comfortable. She said she could bring Gregory or Grandma if it would help. I said hell no to Gregory, which surprised her, but I did agree to Grandma. After no issues, we met in a coffee shop with Grandma claiming she would be a mediator. I looked at my post to see her guys' advice to, I don't know, guide me before I left. I admitted to Mom I didn't want to see her but thought this call would clear the air. I asked why barely only 2 texts a year, and she said Gregory told her that college kids didn't need their moms and would be interfering. I asked why she couldn't at least phone me to invite me, and she said Gregory told her sending an invite made me on the same level as the other relatives, and I would like being respected. That made no freaking sense to me, and I got so mad. I asked why the heck she even wanted me there when she would treat me like extended family. She told me when I was gone, and seeing how Gregory treated their kids made her realize she neglected me. She'd been going to therapy and wanted us to mend things. I pointed out listening to Gregory about me then was the dumbest possible thing she could do since he never liked me. I knew I'd start crying like a little witch, so I started ranting about how I'd rather not meet my half-siblings since I know I'd resent them. They don't deserve that. How my extended family also cast me out. How everyone blamed therapy not working on me. My mom was shocked, and even more shocked when Grandma took my side and everything. I told her I was really sorry that I made her cry and it didn't make me feel better. She forgave me on that, but told me it wasn't my fault, and she deserved it. My mom asked if I'd ever come home, and I said that Gregory would either need to apologize or die. That was a bit harsh since I don't want him to croak, so I said if he leaves forever is good too. My mom said she understood, started crying, apologized like 100 times, and asked if she could text or phone me more often. I said sure, because it still makes me feel awful to see my mom cry. Since then, Mom has texted me and called me every day but hasn't tried to force things. I did not go to the party since Gregory has not apologized. Grandma has been staying with them and things aren't too good between them. They had big fights over him refusing to say sorry and how they treated me and aren't talking. I don't want my mom's marriage to end for the sake of her other kids, but I can't lie, it feels good to not be ignored. Apparently Mom wants to meet on Christmas or Christmas Eve, and as long as Grandma comes, I'll let her, but I don't know if we'll ever be close again. So thanks guys, your advice really did help and I'm feeling better mentally. Good job sticking to your boundaries. I'm happy your mom is showing growth in realizing what was wrong, and I hope your relationship improves even if you're not super close. Also, a hell yeah to your amazing grandma for sticking by your side and acting as a mediator. I hope you have a good Christmas, and that things keep getting better for you. Merry Christmas to you too. I don't know if things will ever get better, but her at least acknowledging she was wrong means something to me even if I don't know what it is. And I really do love my grandma, and I'm happy that other people think she's great too. Yeah, I'm loving your grandma too, but honestly the first part of this update completely pissed me off. Gregory. I was thinking, does this mom have the basic common sense to wipe her butt after a dump? Or does she get/follow Gregory's advice for that too? But she surprised me. She seems to genuinely want a relationship but is taking steps to make that happen. Best wishes, Opie. I'm glad that your mother is understanding that she did a disservice to you and agrees that she neglected you. That's showing a lot more understanding and contrition that many mothers we see on here manage. I'd encourage you to see if you can build a relationship with your mother now, one that probably won't include Gregory. If it's just painful for you, then you can cut it off. But it sounds like something more positive than that is possible. Please don't feel like you owe it to your past self to cut your mother off or keep her at arm's length, if she's a positive in your life now. I don't see myself ever being around her if Grandma isn't there too. I'm happy that she knows she was wrong, but I don't know if I can trust her enough to give her a second chance to be my mom. And as for Gregory, I think she's finally gotten the message that I hate him. It sounds like your mom is in a really abusive and controlling relationship. Those are hard to get out from under her. While I'm not excusing her behavior, maybe try to see her in that light, and that her actually reaching out to you and willing to meet you on your terms is a huge step for someone in her position. She didn't start treating me bad when she and Gregory got together. That started before, and he treated her like an angel when I lived with them. Maybe it's changed, but that's how it was. Now for the last update. So I did meet with my mom. Grandma came to us per instructions, for lunch. We didn't talk about Gregory or anything. It was just a short meeting over coffee. We just talked about school, the engineering program I'm in, guys I've dated, and stuff. I guess it was nice to talk about myself even if it was awkward. She did ask me to spend more time with Grandma, and that made Grandma smirk, which means Grandma kept her promise about never revealing we hang out. I paid for Mom as a gift, and she gave me an old baby photo of me that she got redeveloped as a gift. I thought that was nice. I let her hug me goodbye. She didn't cry this time, so I don't feel like crap. It still feels weird, and I know it will for a long time. Maybe forever. It's hard letting go of hurts, but it is what it is. Hope you guys have a good Christmas. Next story is titled, Am I the A-hole for destroying family Christmas? I've been with my wife for about 5 years, married too, and we have a 1-year-old son. My mom is the type of person who doesn't like change, doesn't like new people, and keeps to herself. That being said, she isn't controlling and doesn't seem to care what her kids do with their lives, but she doesn't like when she feels things are pushed on her. She is also someone who will just keep doing what she does without thinking. So when she continued to buy me lavish gifts but nothing for my wife or baby, I didn't think it was malicious. But it hurt my wife that even after marriage, my mom wasn't buying her gifts. I sat down with my mom and explained this. My mom was totally shocked and couldn't believe my wife expected a gift. I tried to explain that my wife is part of the family now, but my mom was upset and said she has 3 kids and shouldn't have to pretend my wife is her kid. She really seemed surprised, so I do think that was genuine. And she kept saying how mortified she would be if her husband expected gifts from her parents, and that she wouldn't be with such an entitled child. Finally, I told my mom to just stop. It is okay if she has a difference of opinion, but she is hurting my wife, and it needs to stop. My mom thought about it for a couple of months, talked to my sisters, who said she should just suck it up and buy gifts for our partners. And her ultimate decision was that she didn't want to host Christmas anymore. I thought she was bluffing, so I ignored it for months. I realized she was serious and said, fine, we can do it at my house. But she didn't want to come. I mailed her a small gift as a test and she mailed it back. Finally, I was like, screw it, and did Christmas with my wife's sisters and their partners. Both of my sisters were miserable the whole time, and one cried, which I thought was crazy dramatic. My mom was on vacation and had her phone off. The sister who cried finally blew up that my wife and I ruined Christmas and ruined our family, and she left early. Turned my other sister called our mom later and finally got her to answer and begged her to do a normal Christmas again. And my mom said she feels like now that we are all getting married and having kids, it shouldn't be her problem anymore, and she will think about it but is leaning towards me. Now my sisters are angry and feel that I ruined family Christmas. Not the A-hole. Your family sounds exhausting. Getting a present for the partners of your children isn't that strange. And frankly, it's weird that your mom hadn't considered it before. And your sister going into hysterics because your mom went on vacation and wasn't there seems ridiculous. Everyone needs to calm down. Maybe consider heading out of town with your wife next year and escaping the holiday drama. This. Also, your child's partner of 5 years / wife of 3 years and your own grandchildren aren't new people. They're family. The mother is a manipulative witch and the sisters are terribly influenced by their mom. I thought the mom sounded like she had some sort of processing disorder or was otherwise neurodivergent. This would explain a lot. I could overlook no gifts for your wife maybe, but none for your child? That's the much bigger issue. To accept lavish gifts if the baby gets nothing really bugs me. Newsflash, your mother absolutely is controlling. You just never noticed before because you were staying in line. Your sisters are still under the thumb, which is why they're reacting badly to your absolutely normal and reasonable request, and your mother's absolutely abnormal and unreasonable response. But that's their problem, not yours. Raising a kid is hard enough without trying to parents grow adults too. Stick to your guns. Either your wife and child are included in family Christmas, or family Christmas will be just you, your wife, and your child. Let the rest of them sort themselves out. Not the A-hole. Now for the last story. Am I the A-hole for refusing to host Christmas and ruining my husband's dream? So my husband, 31 male, has always loved Christmas and everything even remotely related to it, while I, 31 female, don't really care. Since my family is not Christian nor do they live in this country, we usually end up spending the holidays with his family. He has always lived in a large household and everyone there shares the same enthusiasm for Christmas he has, which always makes it fun. The problem is that now my husband said that he wants us to host Christmas at our house the next year. And I was like, okay, sure. Until he clarified he meant that I had to host it. prepare the dinner, and do all the grunt work. Now, I have no idea what goes into Christmas. My family's from a different religion, and my childhood only consists of me and my dad. So holidays have never been a huge deal for me. I don't know how to do all the stuff required. He had already told them we'd be hosting Christmas, and I got mad and said, how can you say that without even asking? So I told him clearly that it's not my responsibility to host Christmas for your family, since I really don't care one way or another. But now he's accusing me for ruining his lifelong wish, and he ended up telling his mother about it. So now my mother-in-law and sister-in-laws are blowing up my phone by saying why am I being such a Grinch. He has been sulking ever since we came back last night. I'm firm on my stance, but I'm still wondering since it's just a one-time thing if I should just suck it up. Not the Ahole. Why can't he do the work? What are you, his employee? Exactly. His lifelong dream is to sit back and host while his wife does all the work? Not the Ahole. I think it is, actually. Yep. OP, you are not the Ahole, and you would be justified taking a nice vacation for yourself Christmas weekend, while your husband scrambles to fulfill the promises he had no intention of fulfilling himself. But if you don't want to do that, host a potluck Christmas and spend your time coordinating what others will bring. Tell your dear husband you're on it, but you'll have to delegate work to him. Then make him clean and decorate the house while you tell which relative to bring which food. You'll still have to work supervising, but you'll make it clear to him and everyone else that someone who doesn't celebrate Christmas should not be expected to be a servant to people who do. Not the Ahole. I knew it. I freaking knew it. I knew the moment I read the title that you were going to be doing all the work. If he wants to host, he can freaking cook, set up the damn table, clean and all that with you. And then telling on her to mommy was also predictable. Yep. I love Christmas. My family go all out every year and it's the best. We start planning 6 months out all the games, menu, etc. But the keyword is we. Every single family member pitches in with cooking, decorating, child-minding, and the cleanup afterwards. There is no way I would do a full Christmas with no help, or only help from the women in the family. Opie's husband is way out of line by demanding this, and to then send his mother and his sister after Opie? He is absolutely an a-hole. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help my cheating little sister? Back when I was 10 years old, my mom cheated on my dad with his then best friend, which led to them having a nasty divorce. My mom almost immediately after finalizing it went and married a guy, which drove my dad into huge depression and ultimately ending himself. I was the one who found him after I came home from school at 12 years old. The sight traumatized me for years to come and has made me despise my mom and the idea of cheating and any cheater. Fast forward 14 years later, and my little sister's husband found dozens of videos and pictures of her with multiple different guys, including some of his and my friends. And that led to them having a huge fight where he ended up throwing her out of his house. And so she came running back to me for me to take her in, and I refused. She called me a huge a-hole, and I told her to shut both her mouth and legs up, and to go to mom and let her deal with this, since she knows a thing or two about cheating. And she left. Now her husband has filed for divorce and I fully support him. I have absolutely no sympathy for cheaters, and that includes my own sister. Now for the top comments. My sister cheated and I refuse to help her. I help her children and provide a safe place for them. But her? No. I'm also still in a good place with my former brother-in-law. He's still my family. Definitely not the a-hole. I cannot imagine how traumatizing that was to find your dad. I'm so very sorry. Not a-hole. Seems the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Sister learned that crap from somewhere. Good for you for not going down that path and refusing your sister. I loved my sister with all my heart, R.I.P., but I would not have condoned her cheating. I don't condone anyone doing it. I watched my mama go through that crap with my dad and my stepdad. I'm jaded AF when it comes to relationships for that reason. Stay strong and cut them freaking friends off. Good on you for that. Your sister sucks, your mom sucks, and you were right to not help her. She made her own choices even after your mother and father's history. So knowing that, you shouldn't help her when it's obvious you would have someone you will hate living with you, as she reopened your old wounds by cheating like she did. You did everyone a favor here by refusing her. Exactly. Not only did she know about how much I despise cheating and cheaters, but she cheated on her husband with my friends, which I saw as personal disrespect to me and her husband. She also slept with his best friend, who was his best man at their wedding. So she is just despicable to me now. That is just disgusting. It's a clear sign of how she doesn't care about anyone but herself. The fact she could cheat, not only on her husband but with your friends as well, then have the nerve to come to you for help, clearly shows she is a narcissist. So let your mother deal with her BS and get far away from them both, along with all those friends you had. I do hope you cut all of those friends off. Those aren't friends. I am dropping them. Screw them. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my sister to my wedding after she tried to sabotage my relationship? I, 27 female, am getting married in 2 months to my fiancé Jake, 29 male. We've been together for 5 years and I couldn't be happier. However, my relationship with my sister Lily, 25 female, has been rocky for the past year. Here's some background. Growing up, Lily and I were very close. She's always been the life of the party, charming and the center of attention. I've always been more introverted and happy to let her shine. When Jake and I started dating, Lily was thrilled and we all got along great. A year ago, things started to change. Jake got a promotion at work, which allowed us to buy a house. This seemed to trigger something in Lily. She started making snide comments about how I was lucky to have found Jake and how I wouldn't have been able to afford a house on my own. I tried to brush it off, thinking she was just having a rough time. Then, at a family gathering, Lily got drunk and told everyone that Jake had hit on her when we first started dating. Jake was mortified and denied it immediately. I was shocked and didn't know what to think. Later, Lily apologized, saying she was drunk and it was just a joke. Jake assured me it never happened and I believe him. Since then, Lily has made several attempts to undermine my relationship with Jake. She would accidentally send me texts meant for her friends, saying things like, Jake isn't even that great, and she doesn't deserve him. It became clear she was trying to sabotage us. When I announced our engagement, Lily's reaction was lukewarm at best. She didn't offer to help with wedding planning and continued to make hurtful comments. The final straw came last month when I found out she told our mutual friends that Jake was only marrying me for my money, which is laughable because Jake makes more than I do. I decided enough was enough and told Lily she was no longer invited to the wedding. She burst into tears, saying I was overreacting and that she was just trying to protect me. My parents are now involved, saying I should forgive her because family's everything. They want me to reinvite her and keep the peace, but I feel like I need to stand my ground. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my sister to my wedding after she tried to sabotage my relationship? Yes, family is everything. So I will prioritize the family I'm starting with Jake. If you want to be a part of it, then drop it. Totally agree. Family's everything. Then mom and dad tell her to stop attacking my fiancé and myself. Tell her to stop making snide comments. It should have been nipped in the bud a long time ago, mom and dad. Mom and dad are basically saying it's okay to be rude to the bride and groom. But when the sister is uninvited, that's somehow wrong? What message does this send? Exactly. That family is everything line is so beautiful it brought a tear to my eye. Sniff. So why the heck didn't OP's parents tell Lily to stop her crappy behavior? Because it's hurting OP. Isn't OP family? A wedding is supposed to be celebrated by people happy to see the bride and groom happy, which Lily clearly is not. So we're jealous but should it be there? Not a-hole. If she's been this persistent in trying to break you guys up, she will probably cause a scene at your wedding. It's your day. Enjoy it. Not a-hole. God only knows what sort of scene she'd create at your wedding if you reinvited her. You need to tell your parents that if family is everything, then she wouldn't be acting the way she is, and it's her own fault she's not invited. And they can either back OP or stay home with sister bitch. I'm sure that OP has someone that can walk her down the aisle other than her father. Next story. Am I the a-hole for threatening to report my sister-in-law for child abandonment? My 23 female brother, 25 male, and sister-in-law, 24 female, live with me. They had a baby in December 22, and I expressly told them I wouldn't be able to watch him unless previously asked to. I wouldn't watch him for anything short of an absolute emergency, unless they had asked earlier and I'd agreed. All of this was said and agreed upon before he was born. Well, about 2 months after he was born, they started asking me to take him for a minute, then they'd leave. At first, it was short periods, but it gradually got longer and longer until I reminded them about our agreement. It stopped for a while, but eventually they started doing it again. This process repeated on and off until the baby was about 6 months old, and I decided I'd had enough. So my sister-in-law asked me to watch the baby for a minute, her exact words, and I told her, okay, I have plans in a bit though, so I can't watch him for long. She told me it wouldn't be long and walked out of the house. About 20 minutes passed and she's still not back. So I called her. She said she was about to walk into a movie and would call me when it was over. No? So I tell her, I have a job interview and I have to leave in 20 minutes. If you're not back by then, I will leave him in his crib and call the police to report an abandoned child. She arrived just as I was leaving the house and they've never left him with me like that again. But I still get so much crap during holidays and such when the entire family is together. My mother also complains that she now has to watch him for the last minute stuff they want to do. So I have to know, am I the a-hole? Edit to say, we all live in my parents' house together. I have lived there for almost 4 years and they only moved in just before the baby was born. So I have the habit of calling the house mine when technically it is not. To clarify, my parents do not live with us. They have an apartment. My parents were in the apartment way before I moved into the house. After we all moved out, they downsized and rented the house out. Their last tenants left about a month before I was discharged from the military, and my parents asked if I wanted to rent the house from them. I said yes and moved in, and I've been paying the mortgage. And since my brother moved in, we've been splitting the bills. My parents do not want to live in the house because they are old and have disabilities, and the house isn't really disabled friendly. My mother has diabetes, a torn MCL meniscus in her knee, and has dislocated her shoulder recently. My father has herniated disc in his back, and whatever the disease is called that slowly fuses your bones together, so is mostly in a wheelchair and occasionally uses a walker. The house is not designed for wheelchair use, so he can't even get to the bathrooms. He can only get to the living room and kitchen. Not the a-hole. They were exploiting you and you enforced your boundaries. Good for you. By the way, living with you, does that mean your apartment? Then give them a deadline to leave. Technically, we're living in my parents' house, so my parents make the call of who leaves and who goes. I've just lived in the house significantly longer, so I have the habit of calling it my house when it's technically not. Okay then, they're there to stay. But you are not their slave. And I find it significant that your mother is now complaining that she has to watch her grandchild. To whom is she complaining? To them or to you? Why is your family agreed that they need help but unwilling to provide it and willing to force you to do it? She complains to me. She has never complained to them about anything they've ever done to upset her. It has always been me. You didn't create this child. She is selfish for blaming you. Not a-hole. How can for a minute result in her almost walking into a movie theater? That is not a 1-minute thing. Your sister-in-law's dishonest. I probably would be more extreme and say, okay, I will start counting to 60. Once I hit 60, I'm going. No one can command your time without discussing with you. They all hold him for a minute trick, eh? My sister used to do that. You should absolutely use the threat of the police and child abandonment to nip this in the bud. My sister used to do this with her first child. She was 19/20 years old. It apparently hadn't gotten her fun out of her system. She would drop her son off just for an hour and didn't come back for 3 to 4 days. Once, she even left him with us for a week. And half the time she didn't leave enough milk, diapers, or clothes. We had to go out and get them. Our mother wanted to tell her to stop doing it, but I told our mother that if she did that, my sister would never bring the baby over again. She was the type to cut off her nose to spite her face. So I started this little game where, when she came over with the baby, I would literally stand near the door so she couldn't sneak out of the house without the baby. I had loud bells on the other doors, so I would hear the door being messed with. It took a couple of months, but I was quite successful in curbing my sister's habit of leaving her child at our house. She once dropped off the baby knowing full well that the only one at home was our younger brother, who was 12 years old at the time. That time, I chewed her butt for a full day. Poor child, nearly in tears. He was so scared of doing something wrong. Last story. Am I the a-hole for kicking out my fiancé for letting my daughter lock her door? Around 2 years ago, my ex-husband / my daughter's father passed away in a house fire. My daughter, 14 female at the time, 16 female now, took this very hard. She became depressed and had self-ending tendencies and thoughts. I did everything I could to help her, including trying to talk to her, giving her space, getting a therapist, getting a therapy dog. I've done everything. Nothing has helped. About 10 months ago marks the first time she had an attempt on her life. She had the door locked and I wasn't able to get in the room for about 20 minutes. If I had waited longer, she may not have survived. To prevent this happening again, I took the locks off her door. Just to clarify, I never walk into my daughter's room, or anyone's, without knocking and allowing them to say I can come in, so it's not a privacy issue. My daughter has since then had one more attempt on her life, and I still haven't given her the locks back. About 2 weeks ago, my daughter asked me to let her have a door lock again. I explained to her why I won't let her have one, and she got upset and stormed off. 20 minutes later, my boyfriend / fiancé of 4 years who has gotten very close with my daughter asked me if I could give her a chance. I told him that if I do give her a chance and something happens to her, I would never forgive myself for it. We got into a pretty big argument about it, but it ended, and I didn't let her lock the door. 3 days later, I came home from work early and saw my daughter's backpack in the kitchen, which I had expected since she had taken the day off of school. What I didn't expect was for the house to be completely silent. This worried me since my daughter isn't a very quiet girl. She's always playing video games or playing music. She's never quiet. I went upstairs to her bedroom and knocked on the door. No answer. I knew she was in the room since I heard a fan on in her room and it's never on unless she's home. I knocked again and she still didn't answer, so I panicked and tried to open the door. The door was locked and I couldn't open it. I began to panic. I banged the door and was calling her and she didn't answer. I called 911 and explained to them what was happening and they got here and broke the door down. Turns out my daughter had her music blasting in her headphones and was taking a nap, so she didn't hear me. I asked her how she got the door to lock, and she told me that my fiancé had installed a lock earlier in the day before he went to work. I waited until my fiancé got home to confront him. It caused a huge argument. He said I was overreacting and that I should trust my daughter, that it's an invasion of privacy and she deserves the right to lock the door. We kept arguing back and forth and eventually I told him that I wanted him out of our house. By the way, I bought my house myself and paid the bills myself. He continued yelling at me as he gathered his stuff and stormed off. My daughter understands where I'm coming from and isn't as upset with me, whereas my fiancé hasn't called or texted since. So I'm assuming that we're over. Am I the a-hole for kicking him out? Not the a-hole. He way overstepped. It is your house and your daughter. He had no right to overrule you in regards to either. 100%. Though, am I the only one who noticed that fiancé plus no to door locks equals daughters who's angry and storms off, but no fiancé plus no door locks equals daughter who's just fine with it? The fiancé was advocating for the lock though. Maybe the daughter was okay with the no lock after seeing her mom break down like that and finally realized what locks versus no locks really meant to her. Not the a-hole. You almost lost your child due to a locked door, and while she certainly could self-harm at another location or during the night while you sleep, you are her parent. You carry that responsibility and you provide her boundaries, and not your fiancé. You made your feelings clear to him and said no. He went behind your back and did it anyway. That's major betrayal, a huge violation of your trust, and it represents complete disrespect. Seems the trash took itself out. No, it hurts. Sorry. OMG. Been there. Spent time in the ER waiting for replacement. Still have some PTSD. We did not have locks in our bedroom doors for quite a while. Heck, I kept my knives locked up. Medications were under lock and key. Alcohol was under lock and key. Your child needs to know that her safety is your utmost concern. Make sure she knows you will do your best to respect her privacy. And she needs to know that it will take a while for you to trust enough to consider having locks on the doors again. Not the a-hole. Wedding off. Immediately no contact. Especially since he knows the reason. Who the heck is he to go over your head on something like this? Nope. No contact. Done. Who the heck is he to go over your head on something like this? A bro who is always certain he knows best. A dude who can't ever be wrong. A Chad who wants to be the good cop to a bad cop. Discussing it is okay. Persisting the argument is already overstepping. Going behind her back to do it anyway is the point of no return. A no clear option. I sincerely hope she drops this turd in the nearest toilet and flushes. Otherwise, she can expect more of the same for the duration of their relationship. For very far future consideration, most interior locking knobs, not deadbolt types, have a simple pin bypass to unlock. No key necessary. Am I the a-hole for making a scene when I found out my sister put my niece up for adoption when she had her son? My sister had a second child, and we were all thrilled for her. She lives a few states over, and we haven't seen her this last year. She had one child 2 years ago with her boyfriend, and the other one was born last month. Yesterday, we had a family Zoom meeting to see the baby and to say hi to my other nibbling. We get on. Family starts to load in. Everyone is basically there thrilled to see the baby. We get to meet her new baby boy. After a bit, I asked to see my niece as well. My sister got quiet and very quietly said she doesn't have her. My aunt questioned this, and I was also confused. After a few minutes, my sister said that in the beginning of January, she put her daughter up for a closed adoption because she couldn't care for 2 kids. Everyone lost it. The whole Zoom was a mess. We didn't know. We never got to say goodbye. She didn't have to do this because any one of us would have taken my niece. Hell, I could have taken her. I've had multiple miscarriages / fertility issues, and although I am currently pregnant, I am stable, owning a home, and have the resources to have taken a toddler as well as have my baby. Important. My sister has always also said she wanted to be a boy mom. I lost it. I called my sister a narcissistic C word. I asked her when she'd get bored of the new baby and get rid of that one too. I asked her how the hell she could do this without reaching out to family. I know my sister, and I know deep down she didn't want a daughter. She was depressed when she found out she was having a girl, but thrilled for this entire recent pregnancy. I called her a monster for making children she didn't want to care for, like they were a novelty. I said some other things too. At this point, my grandmother is a complete mess and says her chest hurts, so I stop. My aunt, who is with my grandmother, goes to help her and turns off the camera. My grandmother ended up having a panic attack that they thought was a heart attack at first. I am so glad she's okay. My sister has since cut off all contact from the entire family. My father is pissed at me for blowing up. I was the only one who did, and says that I pushed her away. He said he could have tried to convince her to reverse it, but my verbal lashing completely ruined any chance of getting my niece back. I don't think he understands what a close adoption means. Also, adoption takes a minute. So for her to have it completed by January makes me feel this process was in place for a minute. I don't think there's any chance of seeing my niece again when the mother and father both signed her to be adopted. He's mad at me because now he lost his granddaughter and is afraid he'll never know his grandson. My dad thinks I'm an A for freaking out and nearly giving my grandmother a heart attack. I'm feeling guilty that my grandmother had such an extreme reaction, but I feel that's more because she lost her great-granddaughter. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. For a moment, I misread it and thought she put up the newest baby for adoption, which, if she was worried about being able to support 2 children, I would have understood. Though with her knowing you are interested in adoption, I would have thought she was a little bit of an A. However, after realizing that instead she adopted out her 2-year-old, I'm just utterly sickened and stunned. I have memories from being 2 years old, so this is a child who is aware enough to remember her parents and other family. This is a child who loved them unconditionally, who understood what love is. I'm just so sick at the thought of this. Apologies for jumping on a top comment, and I know this is very dark, but I think OP needs to contact the police to check that the girl was in fact legally adopted by a family. I have trouble believing a social worker or any legit agency would allow this without question, /therapy, /intervention, or even contacting family. My fear is that the sister did this under the table to people who were not vetted or could be traffickers. Or worse, like Kaylee Anthony was supposedly with a babysitter. A closed adoption sounds like a great excuse as to why no one will ever see the niece again, and have no way of knowing it, checking up on if she was safe. Also, is the boyfriend okay, or is it possible he's mistreating her and pushed her to do this? Since Opie's profile is legit and not a throwaway, I have deep concerns and questions about this. Honestly, that's my fear too. Was this child actually adopted out? Does the boyfriend know? I would also get someone else's verification. Not the A-hole. I think this is one of the worst things I've ever seen on Reddit. I just can't get my head around it. Opie, I suspect your dad was taking it out on you because you were there and your sister wasn't. Unfair, but your dad is just as blindsided as you are. So hopefully he can be forgiven for his extreme reaction. The only comfort I can think to take is that if your sister really didn't love her daughter, hopefully your niece has been placed with a family who will, and will have a better childhood as a result. But I'm so very sorry that it wasn't with you. I'm honestly surprised that the authorities allowed a child to be ripped away from its wider family like this. It would be very traumatic. Did she lie and tell them there was no one willing to take the child or stay in its life? And if so, does that have any effect? I would speak to a family lawyer if I was you, even if it confirms that there is nothing that can be done. If this post is real, you should probably contact the police so they can confirm the child was actually adopted and that nothing horrible happened to her. Not the A-hole. I am contacting authorities on this. First in her area and also my own lawyer. I'm concerned she wasn't properly adopted out. Edit to update. I've contacted the local CPS for my sister's area, local courts, and I have a lawyer looking into it for me, starting tomorrow as I just obtained him. Thank you for the helpful comments pointing out the issues with us. Especially thank you to those in social work who reached out to me privately. I didn't realize how many options I had to fight this, or to see if it was legit. I'll update when I find more out from the lawyer. Am I the A-hole? My brother and me made my dad leave for my mom's funeral? My parents haven't been together for 10 months because mom found out he's been cheating on her with one of their friends for I don't know how many years. The friend's the one who told her, not my dad. This messed up my mom, and she wasn't the same. He hasn't talked to me, 16 male, or my brother, 25 male, since he left. But we haven't wanted to talk to him either. I can't believe he hurt her, and it made me sad seeing the way it left her after. She tried to be strong for us, but I was up every night listening to her crying. My mom died, and last week was her funeral. It took time to organize it. My brother and my grandma were in charge, and we kept it small for only a few people. My dad showed up in the morning and wanted to go inside, but we told him no. It was only a few family allowed in, and we didn't want him there at all. She died sad and hurt because of him. He tried to talk to us and said he loved her, and wanted to be there for us as emotional support. I lost it on him. I told him to get the hell out, and we don't need no support from him. It was super emotional, I just wanted him to leave. My brother told him he's not welcome, and eventually he left, so we did the service in peace. There was some family there that wasn't happy that we kicked him out, and we've gotten talked to by them. They get why we're mad, but he was still her husband and someone he loved, so it might have been right to let him grieve like we are too. My dad has talked to our cousins about how hurtful that was that he didn't get to say his own goodbye, and apologized for what he did. They told him to screw off, and then told us all the other stuff he's been saying to everyone else. Mostly, everyone agreed we had every right to not want him there, but others that don't think so keep saying we were awful to not let someone grieving be a part of it. So, I don't know what to think. I didn't want him there, and my brother didn't either. But were we still a-holes we didn't let him in? Not the a-hole. She wouldn't have wanted him there. You and your brother didn't want him there. And I assume nobody else there wanted him there. I'm not sure why anyone else's opinion matters. Just want to add, he cheated on her for years. How can you claim to love someone then do that to them? I don't want to be the grief police, but I feel like he lost the right to mourn her when he made the decision to cheat on her. Multiple times. For multiple years. Not the a-hole. He was supposed to be her everything. Instead, he spat on all that and left your mother in pieces. He had 10 months to do something about that. Where was he back then? For her and you too. He was only there to save face. If she didn't die, he'd continue living as he did. Tell them what kind of person cheats on their loved one and only come to talk when she was 2 feet into the ground. If they can answer that in a way to change your mind, then they can say whatever, I guess. Wasn't around because he was ashamed according to him, and he knew we didn't want to see him. Plus, my mom didn't want to be with him. What a convenient excuse. Of course you two and she wouldn't want to even look at him. So what? If he really gave a damn, he'd try to at least admit that he made a choice. A stupid choice, and he's an idiot. He could have said so many things to make your mother feel better. Things at his expense. But that man is a coward. The fact he only showed up when she was dead proves as much. Next story is titled, Am I the A-hole for telling my cousin that she's a bad parent and that her kids need to be taken away? I have this cousin. I'll call her Tess. She has 3 children, 2 girls and a little boy. She asked me if I'd come babysit them while she went to work because her babysitter quit last time. I was happy to. I drive out there and start doing my thing. Great kids they are, and I love spending time with them. I've always felt kind of bad for them because of multiple reasons in the past. Anyways, this time I had enough. I go to use their bathroom and it stinks to high heaven. Most awful smell I've ever smelled. I go try to use the potty because I really had to go. I had a long drive. I open the seat and there's turd all the way to the top on this dang thing. I run out gagging. I asked the kids why it was like that. They said it's because their mom's friend came over and flushed a freaking phone down toilet. I then asked how long ago that was because, dang, they said they didn't know. I asked if they still use it and they said no, and that they use the bathroom while at school. This is the really nasty part. When they had to go pee while at the house, they would just go in the yard. Which in my opinion is fine if they live in the woods or something. But they live in a trailer park. And little girls squatting to pee where people could see them pissed me off. And then I asked what if they had to do the number 2. These kids would take those little pudding cup things, eat the pudding, then poop into them and throw them in the trash. When Tess got home, I was livid. I asked White how she had not got that fixed right when it happened. Her response was she's seeing a guy that is a plumber. He told her he'd come check it out. I asked when he was supposed to come fix it. She said about a week ago. I was so frustrated with her I screamed at her in front of her kids. How she is a horrible parent and that the kids don't need to be around her and that they need to be taken away. She started crying and I left. I called her mom and told her the situation. And she told me that Tess was going through some hardcore depression and that she didn't know about what was going on but that she would take care of it. I feel like a knave for saying what I said, especially in front of her kids. I know depression can be really hard to deal with. Now for the top comments. Not the A-hole. Having depression is bad, but she is a mother. She can't let her kids be without a working toilet for weeks. If she can't manage everything because of her mental health, she needs to seek help. Therapy for her, family or friends for the kids. For her children. But you are an A-hole for screaming before the kids. Why find not everyone's sex here? I can understand the screaming pretty well, and I would have done so myself. So I think it is a light A-hole move. Why still A-hole even light? The children had hard times with over a week without a toilet, and that is just what we and Dopey knows of. And I think you should never scream in front of children if you can avoid it. Yes, I agree. I feel bad for doing it. I should have held my anger and approached the situation in a better way for sure. You shouldn't feel bad for saying it. She is literally neglecting her children. You need to call Child Protective Services. Not the A-hole. That is serious neglect. Probably shouldn't have yelled at her in front of the kids, as they don't need the added stress. But those kids need to be checked on. If her depression is affecting her to the point her children have to defecate in pudding cups, thinking about how hard/messy that would be, there's also probably fecal matter everywhere. She needs help, and I'm thinking a CPS checkup. CPS definitely crossed my mind, but I didn't want to go that far just yet. That's why I called her mama and let her know. She's a wonderful person, and I knew she would do something about it. I'm going to check in all of them and keep in touch with Tess's mom to be sure. Not the A-hole. Social worker here. Running water, functional toilet, heat, and electricity are absolute essentials. And not only could she lose her kids, she could face fines or jail time/probation for not having a working toilet. She must have this fixed ASAP. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for putting my sister in her place when she went after our family? I, 25 female, am the youngest of 4. My older sister is a mom of 5. Her older 2 kids are from her first marriage. When my sister's ex-husband died, 3 years after their divorce, she told us it made her life easier and that it would make it easier for her kids to accept the man she was dating at the time. The kids were 6 and 7. They met her current husband about 9 months after losing their dad. She was thrilled with how things were going, and so she raced down the aisle and then told the kids he needed to adopt them. They said no. They were crying, upset, angry, wanting their dad. Our whole family talked to her about listening to the kids. We said she needed to give them time and space. She didn't listen. Told them they didn't know what was best and didn't realize what a good dad her husband would be to them. A decade later, and that has blown up in her face. The kids are constantly fighting both of them. My nephew told his mom that she was a bad mother to them, and even if she hated their dad, he was still their dad, and they love him regardless of how she feels or felt about him. He also told her all she did was make sure they hate both her and her husband, which is what they call him. My sister then decides our family's the bad guy in all this, and decided to lose her crap with us, saying it was all our fault and that we didn't help her kids. And we obviously put all this in their minds. She even accused us of telling the kids what she said about their dad. But we didn't. We never spoke a bad word about anyone to the kids. And I cut her off once she said we wanted to mess up her life. I told her she messed up, not us. That she selfishly wanted her life to be easier instead of thinking about her kids. And that it was her fault her kids hate her, and she needs to own the choices she made if she's so sure they were the right decision. But I told her she should not. And instead of fighting us, she should try to save her relationship with the older kids before they cut her off for good and never give her the time of day again. She tried turning it around on us again, and I told her she will end up losing 2 of her kids, and it will be her own damn fault. She's claiming I was a witch to her. My family said they agreed with what I said, but maybe I shouldn't have lost my cool with her. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You were honest and told her something she needed to hear. Now it's up to her whether she can make any changes that might prevent her children from cutting her out. Not the a-hole. She made sure the kids absolutely felt she picked the new man over them, made them second choice, and now she's wondering why her selfishness is biting her in the butt. Not the a-hole. Sure, you could have been a little more sensitive, but she tried to force her kids to accept a new man in their life a year after the death of their father. If she can't see the issue here, she's definitely the a-hole. Not the a-hole. You shouldn't have lost your cool with her is kind of ridiculous when that was what she was doing. All you did was put her in her place. She is kind of an awful mother. I don't know who would see their children's father's death as a benefit, and then completely disregard their feelings and trying to replace their father not even a year after his death. How could she blame something completely her fault on you guys? I would cut her off completely. Maybe reach out to your nephews to see if they're okay.